Let me set this up. So it looks like everybody done lost their mind on the earth. Well, at least half of us have lost our mind. This is about the first 26 days in 2026. And it seems so appropriate because it is the 26th day of 2026. And much like the first 25 days of 2025, boy, oh boy, has there not been a lot of things happening. When we look at everything that is going on, from Venezuela to the ICE protests to even the silver revaluing, the one thing that we're actually seeing is prophecy come true. And a lot of people are so viscerally vested in what's going on in this earth, just on the earth, they're forgetting that whatever is coming to earth, it has been foretold way before we got here. And because we can't focus in on the bigger picture, and we can only live for what those small little moments are in between, and what we can see on the news and what we can be seeing reported on Facebook and YouTube and all those other things, we're missing the bigger picture. There is a spiritual attack on the land, and because we cannot recognize it, there's a lot more fear and panic going on than what otherwise would or even need to be going on. When we look at the first week, what was it, January 3rd, here we have our president going into Venezuela and snatching up the president, not even the president, the dictator of Venezuela. We have people all over the world celebrating his capture. And then we have this sliver of folks who feel like it's wrong for them to capture a dictator, but it's not wrong for them to call Donald Trump a dictator. There is such a mass deception event going on here. I've never seen anything like it on this magnitude in my life. I've seen it a few places, in microcosms and colleges and different schools of thought, but I have never seen it worldwide, to where the world is split wide open for the side of wrong and the side of right. The side of right is clearly seen. Now, don't get it twisted. I already know that there are things going on in the name of good that are really authored by things that are bad. When we look at Venezuela, it could actually be said that they weren't going there to free the Venezuelan people. They were going there to secure the gold and to secure the silver. And we're going to get off into that later. There is a immediate circle. There's your family. Then there is a, that's often your your private circle. But then there is a social circle. People, acquaintances that you may have had a stint with them. You may have worked with them. You may have done little jobs with them. You may have went to church with them, but they're part of your social circle. They're not part of your private circle. Then you have your public circle. And the public circle is just who knows you, who's your Facebook followers, who's your YouTube followers, who's everyone that's subscribing to you. And those individuals are the ones that are posing the biggest danger for everyone on the earth. It's socially. Our social structure is breaking down. And this was prophesied of in Matthew 24. Jesus said it so plainly that love was going to wax cold, that many are going to be offended, that all these things are going to happen when the last days come upon the earth. Now, we have another piece of prophecy that gets folded in there, and it's in the back of my mind, and it was that there was a war in the heavens. You look in the book of Revelation at the war in the heavens between the angels of God and the angels or the demons of Satan in the heavenlies. And when Satan lost, there was a proclamation made over the universe, over the heavens, over the earth. It said, "Woe unto you, inhabitants of the earth, for Satan has come down to you, for the devil has come down to you with great wrath, with great anger, because his time is short." And the key term that was used was woe. Woe is a term that is used almost as a curse word that trumps every single curse word you could ever use, because this is a warning of the cursed thing coming into fruition. And here we have on this earth the cursed things coming into fruition. When we move past Venezuela, we come into all this Somali fraud. And I don't believe that it's only Somalis, and I don't believe it's only in Minnesota. I believe it is only the tip of the iceberg. These are things that are simmering underneath the bedrock of the United States. All these people getting rich, all these millionaires in the earth, they're not getting to be millionaires legally. They're getting to be millionaires by fraud. And we're seeing a lot of this right here in the United States. And simply because Nick Shirley had the gall and audacity to go ask a few questions, he was able to go and uncover the tip of the iceberg, staring us in our face. And guess what? That's when the others began to come out. Hey, could y'all come look over in Ohio? Hey, could y'all come look over here in Indiana? Can y'all come look down here in Florida? Because you know what? Wickedness is native to humanity. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, gold, purple, green, orange. It doesn't matter what color you are. All that matters is that you're a human and that you are prone to evil proclivities. You're also prone to good proclivities. And so now we're seeing a master battle, like a chessboard being set with the good and the evil. But here's the twist with that. The good is calling the evil rightly. But then you have the evil calling the good evil. And God has been showing me this, I guess it's a when you liken something to something else. He showed me a chore list. He showed me this chore list on a refrigerator, and he showed me two sets of children. He showed me a set of a child who they didn't mind doing their chores. It was the thing that they needed to do. But then he actually showed me another child who thought being asked to do chores and his reasonable service was the most abhorrent thing that he had ever witnessed in his life, and that his parents were unfair for telling him and asking him to do any chores. But this is what's really going on a bigger level. We have a bunch of spoiled, entitled, oh my goodness, ignorant, stupid people who think that being told how to do anything is authoritative and fascist. Anything that presents itself as true authority and rule, like any normal civil society would actually do, is what is being called fascist. You've seen all this Somali fraud. You've seen all of this going on in Minnesota, and then all of a sudden that was cut off like a spigot. It was cut off like a spigot because that's the bigger thing. See, that's the bigger iceberg than ICE itself. People want to look at ICE and be like, oh, they're wrong. They shouldn't be doing it. Like one young lady said to me tonight, it's the way they're going about doing it. ICE ain't never changed the way that they have been doing their business. They have always went and did undercover operations. They've gone right in. They've taken people out of their homes because they were there illegally. We have seen CNN cover with great admiration runs that ICE have gone on to when they were in the Obama administration, but we don't see it now because all of a sudden the ICE that was right under Obama is now the ICE that is wrong under Trump. They have never changed their tactics. They have never changed the way that they've done what they're doing right now. The only thing that has actually changed is the mindset that people have had in looking at them. And because the mindset has changed, because the understanding has changed, and to me, like I like to say, these brand new people, that don't have a inkling or understanding of how society should go, these people that were probably kids who thought that being asked to do chores was an evil and wicked thing, is the very thing that's going on in the streets. We see it up front. We see it going on up close. The only one who doesn't see it is the ones that's doing it. I saw a video today of individuals who were going down Minnesota streets with cameras. All they were doing were documenting these things with cameras. And when they went to document them, the protesters, who think they're protesters, they're not protesting anything legal. They have, this is a self-righteous bent to make them look like they have some type of moral standing in, I don't know, human society, because they don't have a moral standing. You cannot protect people that have killed people and say that because they're people and you're protecting them, that you have some moral high ground. There is no moral high ground other than to right the wrong. But we know that because we're living in the age where right is being called wrong, anything you do right is called suspect and wrong. Just like these people who were driving down the street in Minnesota, all they were doing was documenting the protests. And all the protesters were doing was stopping them, walking in front of their cars, asking them to identify themselves, asking them, where are you coming from? What are you here for? Doing the very thing that they are protesting ICE doing. So it's okay for them to do it, but it's not okay for ICE to do it. When they're actually illegal people here. Look, everybody has a house. Well, I'll say it like this. Everybody who has a house, there's one thing that most of us do at night. We lock the doors. And the reason why we lock the doors is because we don't want anybody coming in on us, especially when we're asleep. Even when we're not asleep, when we're just in our house doing things, we lock our doors because we want that security. How much different is an entire country and nation? And let's go even further. A lot of people want to bring into the conversation what the Bible says about, be kind to your foreigners and be kind to those who are coming into your country. But they often overlook the areas where God himself made Jerusalem have a border. They made Jerusalem build up the breaches that were in the gate and in the walls that were surrounding Jerusalem, because it was a reproach to any nation to have an open gate, to have an open border, to allow for anybody to come within their walls and within their territory. And so here we have all of a sudden these individuals, it's just two groups of people. The haves, sense, and the don't have sensors. There's a lot of people that don't have good common sense walking up here on this earth. And they think that because they're just people. Not even that. They think that because they're here already, that they have a right to be here. Someone that comes into your house through the back door, maybe your front door is locked, but you forgot to lock your back door. But if someone comes through the back door of your house and they're sitting here and they're being very peaceful, I doubt that they will stay there very long because they're still in your space. They don't have to do anything because the thing that they did was come into your house illegally. They don't have to do anything else. Just know that the thing that they did was come into your house illegally. They were not given permission. They were not given a welcome hand. But we have people here who refuse, by the way, to let these people stay in their house, but feel like because they came in here and they're not doing anything, you should leave them alone. Why is that even your business? Why is that even any of your business? Why are you even opening your mouth about it? Ain't no one ever opened their mouth about it. But here it is, you're going and you're going to defend people who now we find out after the fact have actually killed individuals who are here in the United States by birth. Everybody wants to say, well, we're all immigrants. The only ones that aren't immigrants are Native Americans. How did the Native Americans get the land? Did the land grow the Native Americans? No, the Native Americans took the land from the people that was there before them. You know why? Because that was the way of the world. And now we have a different way of the world. And this way of the world does not have an honor system. Don't ever forget that there is no honor among thieves. And those who, even the Bible said, who suffer as busybodies, they reap the good fruit of their reward. Whatever you reap is what you sow. And when people want to sit there and act like that the consequence of Mr. Purdy's death is bigger than the actions that caused him to be killed, the almost suicidal mission that he was on, that's when we find out that there is a mass delusion going on this earth. I know people who are posting about this I know they have good common sense. And they want to say, if you condone murdering him, then there's something wrong with you. I don't condone murdering anybody because in the Bible it says thou shalt not murder. But what I don't condone is you getting up into people's faces with a gun. Now, he didn't brandish his gun to anything that we know, but we do know that he came there with a gun and 2 loaded magazines. Even to defend yourself, you don't need 2 loaded magazines. That is something that you're on personally, and that is something that you are trying to prepare and stage for. You brought that there with an intent, even though, it didn't work out in your favor. You cannot play stupid games and think that you're not going to win stupid prizes. And what we have here is an attack on common sense. The very common sense that, I hate even saying it, that made America great. Because America was great. I say right between the 70s, mid 90s, until we had that Atlantic or whatever it was, that international trade deal that took the factories out of the United States. We had it going on. That was the only time that I know that black and white people listened to each other's music. All the black people in the 80s knew about all the white singers, and all the white singers knew about all the black. But then there was this split. And it started quite early. It came really fast. And no one even noticed it when it happened. And now we don't have peace anymore. We have everybody's private interpretation. Past this, what we have are 2 groups of people. One group of people are extremely corrupt. And now I'm not saying all Democrats are corrupt. But for the most part, this class of 2024, 2025 Democrats, this a whole new breed. This ain't the Democrats that I was. I literally had to flip because I am not a Democrat. This is a whole nother beast. It's so crazy because just the word Dem-O is the first 4 letters of the word demon. And it's very interesting that most of the causes that they support are demonically backed. Only a demon. Yeah, and let me just take a pause here. This is a spiritual battle. This is a battle of good and evil playing out on earth. And the one thing that people don't understand, because a lot of them don't believe in God, they don't believe in Satan, that's fine. But Satan is the master, marionette puppet master. Satan is a puppet master. Satan hates God. And Satan has learned God's greatest creation, human race. The human race is the one thing that Satan has studied. He has mastered the human race. And because Satan mastered the human race, he knows how to pull on them like a marionette puppet master. Now, I want you to remember this setup between good and evil. This has gone on before any of us were born. And if the rapture don't happen in our lifetime, it's going to go on after any of us die. What we have here is Satan pulling the strings of people who never yielded themselves to God. There is a group of people inside the church that even actually identify as believers, but no believers, are they? They're not believers. The other thing that's going to go on with 2026 is that this is going to be the year, more than likely, that religion ends. You're going to see churches fall apart in favor of authentic, divine experiences with the Lord God, His Son Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And when that begins to happen, there's not going to be a need for a church, because He's going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh. That is a prophecy. Just like in the last days, many shall be offended. The love of many will wax cold. All of that, all prophesied. And here we are. Now, I wanted to diverge from the point that I was making about the two types of people here, because there's a last days parable that Jesus gives about the wheat and the tares. And the wheat and the tares is all about parents. There were two parents. One parent planted good seeds of good children, and the other parent, hating the parent that planted good seed, planted his own seed, which is, I think, the most demonic setup in the world, because the argument always is if God knew that I was going to be evil, why would He create me? That is one of the biggest things. People who feel like they can't get a hold of God, they feel like God created them evil. If you have that kind of God sense, I think you got a chance. But I'm talking about those people that refuse, those who are actually planted by Satan themselves in this world. And when you go past those who were planted by Satan in this world, because a lot of people, they believe it, a lot of people, they don't, that's fine. You can't argue with the fruit. You can't argue that only a demon would kill the way that some of these people who have crossed the border have. You cannot say anything else but a demon would plant people in a good field to destroy the field. Why would you do that? Only evil itself. You see these pedophiles, you see these rapes, you see these murders, and I'm going to go even further. Those murders are done and perpetrated by those who are the closest to the person who was killed. Evil. Now, that person may not inherently be evil, but because they're yielded to their flesh, whatever they feel like they feel that is right, they've just given Satan a hook in the heavenlies to puppeteer them to do the most wicked things on the earth imaginable. These protests are just that. For it to all of a sudden be a flip on its head, where people didn't act this way when there was ICE deportations going and when they were running their operations. There has been a complete flip in human common sense in America, and it is terrifying. The targets that are being put on the backs of those who are actually doing well, and then being called evil, for ICE to be called evil and wicked, for there to be signage in Minnesota saying kill ICE, for there to be individuals who feel like it's okay to go into churches and run them over with protesters in the name of trying to make ICE leave. That's only a plan that Satan himself could author. And people don't understand the level of spiritual warfare that is playing into what it is that the whole world is experiencing. And it's causing people to take sides. And when you have to take sides, you have to look at the mirror you have to look at the mirror for yourself and realize, whose side am I leaning on? See, when it comes to the Bible, there's few things that I'm willing to compromise, because the Bible was here and its fruit tells so much. And there's a lot of people say, well, it's been messed up by man, and they've taken away this book and they've taken away that book, and man wrote this. See, this is why Jesus was flipping over tables. Jesus was flipping over tables simply because he couldn't stand religion, and he saw what religion was doing to people, and he saw that they were missing the relationship with the one who man tried to box in with religion, the only true and living God. This is who the war is with, the master war and battle between good and evil. That is the thing that is authoring this entire conflict on earth. And it's causing each one of us to take sides. There ain't no gray. If you notice, the gray done left about 2-3 years ago. We used to hide under the pearls of, oh, I'm not taking sides. I'm not taking sides. But people are being triggered because their very core convictions are being called on the carpet. Do you believe in the thing that is right? Or do you believe in the thing that is wrong? Why do you believe the way that you believe? What has caused you to believe that ICE is wrong or ICE is right? Where is your moral compass? Have you redefined your moral compass? And I'm going to tell you another thing. You cannot have a sound conversation with somebody on the opposing end, on the debate team, 101, who's redefined words. The playing level is a vocabulary that both parties understand and agree are the same words. And if you have someone on the other side of the argument, on the other side of the debate, saying, no, that's not what that means. A woman does not mean a biological woman. A man does not mean. You're already dealing with somebody right there who does not have the full deck in which you can play level on. Every premise after that is questionable. Every word that they say after that, there is some little bit of contrary lie and deception underneath that can't even be trusted. And how can you have an honest conversation if two people can't even agree what the word the, of, and day means? You can't. There's no way. And because of this, we are having a conflict, a level that we have never seen. And here it is, this great day, that we are experiencing wrong being called right and right being called wrong. Whose side are you leaning on? This fight has gone to the church. It has gone to politics. It has gone to family. It has gone to community. There is not a corner of society that this has not touched. Redefining of reality has been the theme of the first 26 days of 2026. From church being redefined, to Jesus being redefined, to politics being redefined, open borders and immigration being redefined, sexes and genders being redefined, everything, excuse me, everything is being redefined, and there is only one author of confusion, and his name is Satan. And if you don't understand that he alone is doing this, these people are being played. They being used. I would dare Donald Trump to tell every illegal citizen to register as a Republican and vote Republican, and then we'll see how fast and without consequence all those illegals will be put out of the country, because really what they're defending is not a person. They're defending a vote. And for every news outlet that wants to say that it is against the law for individuals who are not Americans to vote, take that up in New York with the individuals who just said, I'm going to vote my 6th time. It's illegal to vote more than once. But we have people well documented where thousands of votes were taken out of the vote, and thousands of votes were doubled and put into the vote illegally. These things are documented. There is a mass deception event going on in this earth, the likes that have never happened. And so many people are falling prey to this mass deception. And until you anchor yourself in the Word of God, For everything that the Bible may not be to people, it's coming true. There's one thing about truth, it's provable. It's not objective. It's not. It's absolute. Truth is truth. Up is up, down is down. Numbers on the number line maintain their value because they are proven. And the truth is provable. Only men with deceitful hearts seek to take the truth and turn it into their own narrative and twist it like their father, the devil. One of the scriptures that makes my heart, it's a very ominous, and some would say evil scripture, that makes my heart glad because it deals with justice, is that every whoremonger, every evildoer, a couple other things, 8 types of people, but it ends with, and all liars shall have their part in the lake of fire, and they will be cast in the lake of fire with the everlasting gnashing and wailing of teeth. This is a scripture that I love because the lies will stop one day. The deception will stop one day. Because the way this deception is running rampant right now, the only thing I want is justice, truth, and peace to prevail. And there's a whole lot of us that just want that. We don't want nothing more. We don't want nothing less. We don't want no war. We don't want to be having no fights and seeing people die in the streets because they just stupid. I stand by the words of the first interview that I ever had when I was 18 years old. That was over 28 years ago. What is your weakness? And I was like, stupid people. Because there's some things that some people should already know. That has aged so well in my life. Because that's all we're seeing right now. Stupid people. I've never witnessed anything like the lies that people will believe and defend to the death like they are right now. It's very troubling. It's very worrisome. And those who love truth, those who stand up for truth, they gonna be the very ones killed because they would not lie. A lie? What did George Washington say? He said, I cannot tell a lie. Because there's some people who refuse to be unjust. There's some people who refuse to be wicked. And there are some people who refuse to listen to their father, the devil. This is a real spiritual battle being played out by people who don't even believe in the spiritual. They don't even know it. But it's playing out every day. I said I was going to get to silver because all of this, really, I believe, more than people would like to know, has to do with the silver market. The world economy is collapsing, y'all. And no one is even watching what's going on. January 1st, first 26 days of 2026, I talked about the social portion of it happening from Venezuela to the fraud, to the ICE protesters, to the people. It's funny that the last names of the last 2 protesters were killed was Good and Pretty. Very interesting. Calling good evil and evil good. And Pretty never made it in the face of Jesus. Pretty never made it in the face of the kingdom. Pretty means absolutely nothing if you're not pretty from the inside out. Had he been pretty from the inside out, maybe we would still be talking. But we're going to double back. January 1st, China stops exports of the silver market. Y'all don't even know the world economy is collapsing. World economy is collapsing. When China stopped exports of the refined silver in China, they effectively stopped the silver supply chain flow. They put a kink in it. And so since they put a kink in it, that means that the value of all the other silver that's out there goes up exponentially. Because as long as there's a free flow of supply, you can generally keep demand low. But now that China has stopped the exports and put all of these standards and requirements on those who are able to export, I believe that there's like 44 refineries in China that are able to export, but they can only export if I believe they've had to have been refining since 21 to 22. They have to have at least $30 billion in exports for that. That knocked out almost everybody in China who's doing silver exports. And so now there's a kink in the silver supply. Now, the problem with that is most people, they call them the normies. They're not watching the market. They're not watching the economy. They're just watching what's going in and out of their wallet. They're not looking up to see that silver has dried up in the market. And they even talked about this since October. October 2025 is when China announced they were stopping exports, and that whatever business y'all need to do, y'all need to handle it before then. Came December 31st, even as soon as like 11 o'clock at night, they had already stopped giving people silver. They said we can't export anymore. And so now they still didn't report anything about it. And I knew that the world is due for something called the third seal. There's a book that I wrote called The Fifth Seal, which outlines all 7 seals and how all 7 seals correlate with the Matthew 24, Mark 13, and John 21 prophecies. And so along that way, there's a famine that Jesus talks about right about in the same place as where the third seal appears. First, Jesus talked about the deception, which is first seal. Then he talked about love being lost, which is the second seal, that peace was taken from the earth, that they would kill one another. And then the third seal is due. It hasn't happened yet. The third seal is 800% inflation. Worldwide economic crisis and financial bondage to money. We are due for that. And January 1st, China stopped silver exports. Now, one thing I know about studying prophecy is that God often tells what happens in prophecy. God doesn't so much tell how it happens in prophecy. I thought maybe 2020 would have been the way that the third seal would pop. But it looks like the way the third seal is going to pop is the silver market. See, a lot of people don't understand that the silver market backs the dollar. Now, it's so much that's happening with the silver market, but I'm just going to leave it up to this simple thing. The Great Depression of 1933, there was a run on the banks. The stock market crashed a couple days before. That's not what led to the Great Depression. What led to the Great Depression was the bank run. It's when everybody went to pull out all of their money from the banks. Now, today, much as was back then, those who were in higher financial and fiscal standing, they had access to their money way before everybody else knew that they were going to need access to their money. And they withdrew their money. It's called profit taking in the stock market. And so they took their profits. And by the time the stock market crashed, everybody went to go take a run on the bank. They wanted their money out the bank so that they could have their physical money. And when they got there to the banks were out of money. And this is how people went broke immediately. This is how the Great Depression started. Something like this has just happened with the silver market. As I keep saying, because I have to reiterate this, it almost seems like China did an economic act of war. China stopped exports January 1st on all refined silver leaving out of China. China is the #1 worldwide exporter of refined silver. A lot of people don't think too much about silver, but silver, people stack silver, people stack gold as a monetary means, bargaining, whatever, if the economy falls. But this is the other thing that people don't know about silver. Silver is an industrial metal, and last year it was recategorized as a, what do they call that? An important metal, whatever it is. I can't even think of the word. And because it was recategorized, this industrial metal was then earmarked that if anything ever happened, they would be able to go on there and reserve those physical silver reserves, refined silver, for certain industries. The first industry would be the military industry, the industrial war complex. Then you have medical industries, you have communication industries, the solar panel industry. All of these industries would have earmarked first dibs on silver if anything ever happened to silver. And this is what just happened. This precious mineral, silver. A lot of people want to say that it's a monetary metal, but it's not just monetary, it's industrial. Things in the world go round because of silver. There are certain things that are made out of silver, and you cannot just print silver. Silver has to be refined. It has to go through a process, and those who refine it and process it, they have to go through a process. And because China has now taken all this refined silver off the table, off the world market table, we're starting to see something very quietly happen. It's a quiet panic, because people know that if it was to get out what's really happening with silver, just like in the Great Depression, there would be a run on the silver markets. And they would be trying to get every piece of silver out. From thrift stores to coin shops to the bullion dealers online. This silver issue is going to lead to the third seal and very possibly the mark of the beast. And a lot of people don't understand that this is what's going on. That there is a very, if it's not coming to an end, it's coming to a shaking. And it's about to be shook so hard that a lot of people are going to lose everything. All of this is going on in the background of these protests, of these wars and frauds and all of this dust. This very well, for all intents and purposes, is probably the Black Swan event. Probably trying to keep our noses out of the silver market crisis that is going on worldwide. Silver just shot up, $17 today, I believe it was. Last time I saw it, it was at 108 an ounce last time I saw it. But yet the American markets are saying that it's only $96 an ounce. That's called a market split, backwardation. And when you have a market split, which is extremely rare, for Shanghai to be at 110 and for the United States to be at 97, 98, I haven't checked the aftermarket yet. That lets us know somebody is lying. Someone is lying about how much silver they have, and it is the United States. We know that there is a circulation going now of the COMEX briefing that happened last Friday, where they had to admit that they did not have enough silver to cover all the margin calls that come in. If everybody was to come in and ask for their silver, probably 1 out of 300 would get it. Jesus said, when you see all of these things, look up, because your redemption is nigh. Now, I want to say this last thing. A lot of people say that the seals are the tribulation of the last days, and that there will be a pre-tribulation rapture. Well, I'm here to tell you that we've already seen the first seal We've already seen the second seal open up. And now we are seeing indeed the rumbling of the third seal. Anything financial going on this earth right now, the shakings and the rumblings, this is one of those random prophecies. Like, I guess you can always, you can guesstimate certain things about societies and the cycles that they go through. But one of the things that aren't really talked about is the economies. And the third seal of the book of Revelation, it talks specifically about a worldwide economic shaking. The entire world is about to go under inflation. Now, we just witnessed things that were upwards of 100, 200, 300% inflation. But the Bible talks about this shaking being so bad that it would be 800% inflation. So what's the purpose of me telling all this stuff? Let's open up our understanding. Let's open up our worldview. Because there are some things coming on this earth that money can't prepare you with. Money can't prepare you for. Resources can't prepare you for. Only a sound mental state can prepare you for what's going on in this earth. And there's something about having the ability to know what's happening or what's going to happen before it happens. Yes, it causes you to move different, and it causes you to prepare differently. But the other thing that it does is it gives you a peace that passes all understanding. There is such a peace that exists even within me. Am I the most financially set? No. Are my resources all in order? No. Very few have, and I'm trying to get there. But there is a mental preparedness that many people who, if they don't have that, they are going to end up committing suicide. They are going to end up going crazy. They are going to end up believing and falling for, not standing for. They're going to end up falling for anything because they wouldn't stand for nothing. And that's what's going on right now. Mass deception event. The alarms are going off. We have deception going on financially. We have deception going on in our communications, in our news cycles. We have deception going on in our government. We have deception going on in our families. We have deceptions going on in our church. We have deception going on at every single level. And this is why God himself said he was going to deal with these liars. And he said the devil is the father of lies. So whenever you see these things coming upon the earth, dear heart, it says, look up, for your redemption is nigh. Jesus is indeed nearer to coming back than he ever was. But there's still just a few more fireworks that have to go off before that happens. It is my prayer and my hope that whoever may watch this, I know is long and lengthy, and most of it was probably a rant of pleading with common sense. Have common sense in the matter. Have an understanding that everything that's going on is not everything. I heard my mantra for this year is be aware of all things at all times. Be aware of all things at all times. Our economy, our society, our government, our family. Be aware of all things at all times. Because this is how you prepare. This is how you're able to at least see what's coming. You're able to prepare for your family. You're able to prepare for any government changes. You're able to prepare for monetary shifts. I say it all the time. We're going to need the Antichrist. We're going to need the third seal, because the way that they are destroying the economy, it's going to necessitate a new world order. Because when everything is said and done, the love of money is the root of all evil. And this that we're seeing right now is prophecy unfolding in real time. And we are seeing the love of money being the root of every evil thing that's going on this earth. And if you aren't ready for it, you're going to be taken away by it. So it's time to ride the waves. It's time to look out. It's time to not be afraid. Get your head out the sand. Stop believing everything that the news shows you. And center and ground yourself with a true and living God. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Stupid people exist. Ignorance exists. The inability and the refusal to outright believe the truth because it does not feel convenient or comfortable, that exists. And it's ruining our society. Don't be one of those people. It says that wisdom cries in the streets, but all men do is walk right past her. Don't walk past wisdom. Mount up, get ready, pray ready, and stay ready. Y'all be blessed.